This video is sponsored by PokedownStore.com, the place for all your Pokemon TCG online needs. This is a fantastic website if you want to start your online collection or if you're just looking for a specific code. Look at all these code cards that they offer. Definitely check it out, PokedownStore.com, and use the coupon code ZapDoseTCG for 5% off your next order. Also, this video is sponsored by CardMarket.com. If you're a European player, you're obligated to check out this website. You can sell your own cards or purchase from people all across Europe, so this is a fantastic platform. I use it personally every day, and let's for example check out this boss's orders. You can see in time when the price is right and get notified when it has a specific amount of money. So at this point, €3.28 for a boss's orders. What a bargain sale right here. So definitely check out both of my sponsors. You'll definitely help me out with that a lot. What's up YouTube, it's ZapDoseTCG here and welcome back to another TCG deck profile video on my channel. You guys were asking for this ADP Zacian. This is a deck that did phenomenal ever since its release, and ever since the card Zacian actually got released, ADP paired it up with it so nicely. It needs metal energies, we can use the water energies, we have Energy Spinner to find those water energies consistently, and we just use Ultra Creation GX, bam, we slap that GX move, and out of nowhere the game is on the clock. If we knock something out, we take an additional prize card, and also all of our Pokemon dish out an additional 30 damage. As you can see from this deck profile video, there's not a lot of new cards in here, although certain older cards are more viable than ever before. If you're ready, let's buckle up and let's talk about ADP Zacian. If you're hyped for this video, be sure to demolish the like button, and without further ado, let's get it going. So let's talk about the Pokemon first. As we can see here, I'm still a fan of playing 4 physical copies of Zacian because Intrepid Sword on the first turn is very crucial. I know we only play 8 copies of Metal Energies, but we can use cards like Dedenne to draw deeper into our deck. We can use cards like Crobat V, the new Crobat V, to draw deeper into the deck, to be able to, of course, draw so deeply that if use Intrepid Sword, then you can get some energies instantly, which is going to be awesome. Also, if they are in the discard pile, we can rely on Metal Saucer to accelerate them, and we have Energy Switch, of course, to make sure that we can use Ultra Creation GX as quickly as possible. So Zacian V, our main attacker, we have 4 copies of that. It slaps 230 damage. And then we have to get out of the active position. We don't run Air Balloon or anything of that sort. I'm just a fan of using 4 copies of Switch because that typically gets you out of games. Typically, you use Ultra Creation GX, and then the only thing you have to do is use Boss's Orders on 2 weak targets, let's say Crobat V or something else, another Crobat V or Dedenne, and then you win the game. So it's easy as pie. The only thing we want to do is use Ultra Creation GX as quickly as possible. And talking about Ultra Creation GX, ADP. ADP has 280 HP. You might think, why not put in Big Charm so we have a little bit of a resistance against things like Eternatus VMAX, which slaps 270, but yeah, it still will get the numbers thanks to Scoop Up Nuts and Galarian Zigzagoon. So not a big fan of Big Charm. I am a big fan of Toughness Cape. The Cape of Toughness will get our Pokemon to more HP. Like, for instance, Zacian gets to a ridiculous 270 HP, which is nice and gets it out of range for other Zacians. So in the mirror match, that Cape of Toughness will become so important because with that, we have 270 HP and the opposing Zacians will only slap 260, which is gonna help to win games. Unless they run Tool Scrapper, you could also cut the Cape of Toughness and add a Tool Scrapper of yourself. That means you have a better way to get rid of other tool cards, other Cape of Toughness and all that, but I do love the fact of having a very tanky Zacian V. What else do we see here? That ADP still slaps 180 damage after Ultra Creation GX, which is very nice. Typically, we will use Crushing Hammers to slow the opponent down. So instead of running Big Charms to rely on more survivability, which also is very nice against things like Baby Blounce, with the help of Crushing Hammer, you can slow certain VMAXs down. Let's say you use Crushing Hammer, bam, and Eternatus loses an energy, and then they need an extra turn to, of course, start attacking, which is awesome. If ADP survives and gets the Ultra Creation GX off, we will most likely be able to have a good chance of winning because we also run Mawile-GX. Mawile-GX is one of those cards that if you slap it down, you can look at the opponent's hand and you can select any number of basic Pokemon you find there and let the opponent slap them those on the bench, which is awesome. So you pick out those Crobat Vs, those Dedennes, maybe in the Decidueye match matchups, some weak basic Pokemon, so you can then hunt after them with Bossasaurus. I know some people like Eldegoss in this list, but I cut Eldegoss in, because I wanted to add in Duraludon as a metal type Pokemon from Rebel Clash, which is actually very nice because it has the attack to accelerate energies, but it also has the second attack which slaps 110 damage. I don't know if you know the math correctly, but after Ultra Creation GX, that attack becomes 140, which means this Duraludon can actually one-hit KO Decidueye. So this list doesn't even have troubles against Decidueye. You can use Duraludon to get rid of like two of the Decidueye, and then you already taken 4 prize cards. Let's say you knocked out a little Rowlet, or you use Bossasaurus, or you use Mawile in combination with Bossasaurus, you win the game against that matchup indeed. I know we are weak against fire, and Centiskorch might be a very painful Pokemon to be up against, but against those matchups, our ADP will most likely be able to use Ultra Creation GX while also surviving. That means we can then make use of ADP to soften up the damage on a Centiskorch VMAX, and then finish it off with a Zacian, which is in turn going to help out, because if we knock out a VMAX, we take 4 prize cards. The only thing we need to do is just use Bossasaurus on a weak Pokemon, let's say Jirachi, and we win the game. So don't worry about it too much. I know Metal Frankenstein used to be in this list, but don't worry about it too much. So we talked about Duraludon, we talked about Mawile-GX, Zacian, ADP, the tech cards for consistency. We'll talk about that later, but first, Zamazenta V. Don't sleep on Zamazenta V. If you're up against Centiskorch, of course, we have Crushing Hammer. The typical Centiskorch lists also run Volcanion, but they will need 4 energies in order to slap a huge amount of damage. So the good news in this scenario, even if they slap 110 damage with Volcanion, our Zamazenta V will survive. It has the amazing ability, making it invincible for VMAXs. So with the help of the Crushing Hammer build, you can even wall a little bit of time with Zamazenta V, which is gonna help out a lot. You can poke a little bit of damage. You can also get rid of special energies with the card, which helps out to get rid of those heat, fire energies or whatever, and it's going to be awesome. Also, high darkness energy is something we can discard with Zamazenta V, so don't sleep on this card. Very nice wall against Eternatus VMAX as well. So very much part of the list. We have, for consistency, 2 copies of Dedenne. Why we're still running more copies of Dedenne over Crobat V? Well, we still run Cherish Ball, and Cherish Ball gets, of course, our ADP out of the deck as well. So not only can you get consistency with Dedenne, you also get your ADP from the deck. Then we have 1 copy of Oranguru from Sword and Shield to save those Bossasaurus. You don't ever want to discard a Bossasaurus. Just save it with Oranguru and then use the research, because think about this. For instance, we are not running Eldegoss. We instead rely on Oranguru to save certain resources like Reset Stamp, like those toughness capes. Let's say you need it for another Pokemon. Let's say your active Zacian is probably gonna be knocked out. Put it on another one. Same for a Vitality Band. Metal Saucers, all of these cards we can save with Oranguru. So this is the line of our Pokemon. Very nice. In certain matchups, you just use Bossasaurus on 2 Crobat V to win the game. In other matchups, like the Decidueye, you rely on Duraludon and against Baby Blounce, yeah, you just slap down your Chaotic Swell so they cannot rely on Giant Hearts and still do the same thing. Baby Blounce typically relies on Oranguru GX to, of course, get him out of nasty situations. We also do not run Metal Frankenstein, so if we're a little bit quicker than the opponent and get the Ultra Creation GX off, it's gonna be good. So Chaotic Swell definitely is gonna help us out in that regard. Although Baby Blounce could be a little bit faster, but on the other hand, I don't think they will be playing Beastbringer anymore, which is good because Adventure back rotated. So now to the items, stadiums, and supporters. Let us talk about the item cards first. 2 copies of Cherish Ball in combination with 4 copies of Quick Ball will get, of course, all of our basics out of the field. I know if something like an Obstagoon pops up, we will be in trouble, but we still have the Mawile tech, and the Mawile-GX can definitely be a helpful situation if some weird Obstagoon rogue decks pop up. We have 4 Crushing Hammers. I think Crushing Hammer is going to be a must from now on, because you can also run this with Turbo Patch. But after testing, sometimes you do not get your Turbo Patches off initially, and you don't get it off. So that's why I rely on slowing the opponent down. Crushing Hammer can get rid of the opponent's energy. So let's say Eternatus attaches of turn, they pass. If we can get rid of that 1 energy, you will automatically be steps ahead in the game. So 4 copies, so you draw into that on the opening turns. We have 2 Energy Spinner. We only run 2 copies of the Water Energy. I don't know if you can see it behind me right here. 2 copies of Water Energy. will be enough, of course, to last us through the game. They might be both priced, which is insane to think about, but it doesn't happen very often. An Energy Spinner can get, of course, those out. And if you go second, you even get 3 energies, so you can get 2 metals out and a water energy, so you can attach that water energy and use something like Research, get those metal energies in the discard pile, and use Metal Saucer, Energy Switch. It's all happening. Talking about Energy Switch, 3 copies of that in here. You want to use Ultra Creation GX as quickly as possible, so still a big fan of Energy Switch and ADP Zacian. The 4 copies of Metal Saucer will make sure we can accelerate to our metal types. Very nice to, of course, get a Zacian ready in no time, but also for Zamazenta V. You don't always get the luxury of using Ultimate Ray with your ADP, and that's where Metal Saucer will come in handy to accelerate those energies. I'm also a big fan of Mawile, which can slap some damage. For a single attachment and 1 Metal Saucer, you have an attacker ready, and it can use an attack depending on how many bench space the opponent is using. Against Eternatus, this is actually a very great attacker, and it can actually go after Crobats as well. Then 1 Reset Stamp in the late phase of the game. Let's say the opponent knocked out the ADP, they knocked out a Zacian. This is fantastic. You can use Reset Stamp and boom! Out of nowhere, the opponent will only have 1 card, and that's where it's going to be used very, very nicely. As mentioned, you can use Oranguru time and time again to save that Reset Stamp. So Oranguru, a very nice card saver, and use Reset Stamp when the time is right. 4 copies of Switch. You could even have the luxury of putting in like the air balloon as well. But I find using 4 copies of Switch to be enough as it is. We're not running a Jirachi package, no escape board. It has been rotated escape board. You can use Jirachi and the scoop up nets, but without, of course, the Jirachi Prism Star and all that. And I'm not a big fan of scoop up net in general. So 4 copies of Switch will last you through the game. As mentioned, you can save switches with Oranguru. It all depends on how the game goes, but typically 2 attacks of Brave Blade will get you through the game, mark my words. And then 1 copy of Chaotic Swell. This is nice because, for instance, the stadium cards that you can overlap this with is like Giant Heart. If you overlap it, the opponent, let's say you're up against Baby Blounce, they will not be able to play down their 2nd copy of the Giant Heart, and they will have trouble. So also with us running a reasonably high amount of Marnie, Baby Blounce will have to be very lucky in order to, of course, get the 1-hit KO on ADP. Okay. We have 3 copies of Bossasaurus. Now to the supporters. Bossasaurus, a very key card to win games. As mentioned, if you struggle to, of course, save your Bossasaurus with Oranguru, try and include the Eldigos. Let's say your meta is without Decidueye. Let's say nobody's playing Decidueye in your tournament. Cut the Duraludon and add in Eldigos. That's what I recommend here, but I'm still running Duraludon because I think Decidueye is very great and I respect it. That's why we put it in here. Then 3 copies of Marnie, follow that up with 4 copies of the Research. This is very nice for consistency cards. As mentioned, we're running 4 copies of Zacian. That means we have luxury of using Intrepid Sword, and we'll most likely get that Research or Marnie. We don't have Jirachi with Stellar Wish, but we have 7 supporters and the, of course, Dedenne, Crobat, and Zacian providing consistency. It's fine as it is. Now to tool cards, we have 1 Cape of Toughness, having, of course, the addition of 50 extra HP on non-GX Pokemon. So your Crobat could be having more HP if you want to save that. You can have an Oranguru with 170 HP. You can have, of course, Zacian with 270 HP or Zamazenta V with 280 HP. Very nice indeed. The Vitality Band, why is that in here? Just for the math fixer in the mirror match. Let's say the opponent has a Cape of Toughness. Well, you can easily slap a Vitality Band onto your own Zacian, then you slap 270. Yeah, you one-shot it anyhow. So you might even switch out Vitality Band with, of course, Tool Scrapper, but Vitality Band is easier. You can slap that down and it sticks. Let's say the opponent then uses Item Lock, we will be fine. Let's say they're playing Vikavolt, the Vitality Band is already slapped onto that. So yeah, that's why we're putting Vitality Band over Tool Scrapper. Then for energies, 8 metal energies, and to finish it off, 2 copies of water type energy. So that's the list for ADP Zacian. Let me know what you think about this specific list in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to mouse the like button, subscribe for more content, and we'll get some more Darkness Ablaze up on the channel very, very shortly. Thanks again for watching. Stay safe, stay fresh. Peace out.